day, just another day. I prayed soon as I woke, never thought I'd be the victim of a paralyzing stroke. I woke up at 5:20 just to start my day to day. On this morning I'm feeling different, damn, feeling some kind of way. I got my coffee, then got my daughter ready, headed out the door. Things seemed a little different, I got a headache, damn, for sure. So I'm off to the babysitter, Miss Mimi is the bomb. As I'm leaving, she was asking, was there something going on?
What's up, everybody? How you doing? AVMSUPERHERO here again, and welcome to another episode of Deaf Taught Us How to Live. This is our 6th season, 11th episode. I want to give a shout out to my boy, the introduction of this song, of our video, Mr. Doja. That's another day. He had a stroke, and he has blessed us with a great song to explain how his day went before he had a stroke, because we know each and every day we wake up could be our last day, so we don't take days for granted. That's why we have this show called Deaf Taught Us How to Live. I'm your host, and every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have another show. And each and every week we have a different guest, and today is no different. But before we get on to our show, let me just give you some of the logistics. If you have any questions and comments from YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, please put them in. And if you hear this sound, that means we have a comment, and we will stop what we're doing and we will play your comment. Okay, so make sure whenever you hear that, that means we're listening to you and we're going to get you on the air. But without any further ado, let me bring on my guest. This is actually a part 2. I had him 2 years ago. Very interesting guy, very lively guy. He's a stroke survivor, a person that changed his life around. He is a bodybuilder as well. And he does a lot of things in the community, such as ministry work, as well as he's a speaker as well. And I'm very curious of him being on this show and giving us more about his life, because it seemed like he didn't have enough time the first time. So let's give him his just dues so he could get more time. So without any further ado, here's my brother. His name is Brady Johnson. Brady, how you doing today, sir?
I am great. Having the most beautiful Thursday of the week. How about you?
I can't complain, brother, and I am so appreciative that you actually come back to bless us on our stage again and give us your testimony of your life. I thank you, sir.
Thank you for having me.
So for the people that don't remember you, and you are from our 4th season, so if they want to go back to avmsuperhero.com and go to our 4th season, you can see Brady Johnson's interview. But for the people that don't know you and what actually happened to you, can you please go back to that unfaithful day when you had your stroke and explain to us what actually happened to you and how your life has changed now?
Well, actually, at that point, I'd been having a headache for about 3 months. And I was in the United States Air Force, and we had Afghanistan going on. I had gotten transferred from one base to another, sold a house, bought a house. And actually, I thought that these headaches were all because of stress. Well, I ran marathons. So I'd run 6 to 10 miles a day. And I kind of figured that something was off. But because I lived by myself. So I was never going to the hospital. I was never sending myself to the hospital, which was terrible, but that's exactly the way it was. And so what I did was, as a matter of fact, first, let me say, at night, I could hear my head.
I'm sorry, everybody. It seems like we have some technical difficulties. Brady will be back shortly. Hopefully we'll get his communications up properly. But Brady, are you still there?
I'm right here.
Okay, something happened. It just shut off on you. So can you go back and tell us what happened with you, sir?
Yes. And so for me, I was actually in the United States Air Force, and I had been in the United States Air Force, and I'd been having a headache for about 3 months. And I thought the 3 months, I thought it was stress. Had Afghanistan going on. We had Uh, I'd gotten transferred from one base to another. I sold a house, bought a house. So everybody was telling me that those were stress headaches. I ran marathons. So I ran 6 to 10 miles a day. And so I thought I would run away, run the headaches away. But it didn't. At night, when I turned my head at night, you could hear water. I could hear water in my ears. And also my ears would pop when I changed my head from left to right. But I didn't think of anything. I was single. I had not gotten married yet, and so I didn't think to go to the hospital. And cold weather saved my life. I'm a Southern boy from Kentucky, and I was stationed in Illinois, and it was March, so it was extremely cold. And flight lines on an Air Force base, there's nothing but you, and the wind hit you because there's nothing else on the base on the flight line other than airplanes and you. So I was cutting through buildings, and I found out that a building that I was walking through was a hospital, and there was nobody there. So I decided I would go ahead and ring the bell. And when I rung the bell, I asked the doctor if I could have something a little stronger than a Tylenol. My statement to him was, I pop 5 to 6 Tylenol at a time, and it's been like giving a whale a tic tac. It doesn't work. And so I went ahead and he asked me some of my symptoms, and I told him the same thing I just told you, and he sent me off base. Well, I ended up being escorted off base. And while I was there, after an MRI, I was wearing my uniform, and the doctor and the nurse looked at each other and said, "How do we say this militarily? Houston, we have a problem." And I said, "Excuse me, what does that mean?" They said, "You've been bleeding for 3 months, and we can't understand how you're not dead." And I told them I ran 6 miles this morning. And they said, "You never." They asked me if I knew God. I said, "God is my best friend." And they said, "He loves you because there are some people who have bowel movement, pop a vessel, and are dead before they hit the ground." So I then they sent me into surgery, but found out that my hemorrhage was the size of a $50, and they could at that hospital only do surgery on those the size of a nickel. That was the biggest. So they flew me. I went to UIC in Chicago from Southern Illinois, and April Fool's Day, preparing for surgery as we were rolling up the hospital room and all the hospital location leading up to where the surgery would be done. I was telling them, when you take out all the blood, give me the love of Martin Luther. When you get clean my brain out, give me the knowledge of Plato, laughing and joking. Well, during surgery, I had a massive stroke on the table. They said I would have died anywhere else. And they told me initially that I would never speak clearly. I never walk without aid. I never drive. I never be able to make children because I was taking 42 medicine. I never go back to work. And from that point, went to rehab. But
Hold on. I just wanted to know the day, man. You gave me going further than down the line than that. We're gonna get to that just a moment because I don't want to lose our audience because you're giving me a lot of information right here, sir. So, is one thing I want to point out that you have brought out very articulately is your symptoms. A lot of times we speak about the stroke. We talk about be fast, and be fast is your balance, your eyes, your face drooping, arm, speech. It's time to call 911. But that is basically the warning signs for a ischemic stroke. We don't really talk about the warning signs for a hemorrhagic stroke, and that's what
correct.
and that's what you had.
Yeah.
And you were saying, and I want you to really bring this back home so people can understand that if you're having a hemorrhagic stroke, what are the symptoms that you had? And it was very similar to mine as well, but I didn't hear the fluid stuff. But you said you had the fluid and you had
Yes.
headaches, correct?
Yes. Inside my head, when I turned my head one way, it was like I could hear water. It sounded like water from ear to ear. So I thought I actually had inner ear. Not being a doctor, I was just playing one on TV, but I thought that I had inner ear or something. I never had it, but I thought that's what it has to be. The fact that when I moved my neck very quickly, I'd get dizzy.
Mm-hmm.
I would get dizzy, and I couldn't figure that one either. But that's because of that hemorrhage, that and that fluid being uneven when I was shifting, and that's what was causing the weird feelings. And I didn't vomit, but I did feel dizzy. And when I say dizzy, I mean I could sit and I could move my head real quick, and I'd feel as though I drank 6 drinks.
So the equilibrium was off, but there's something else that you were saying that I want to make sure people understand this as well. You was being a comedian as well on the operating table, and I was basically doing the same thing too. It didn't feel that it was that bad, and I
Yeah.
think that what people don't understand when you have a hemorrhagic stroke, if you're still living through it, a lot of your functions it still seem like they're still there, but even though your body is transforming into a different type of body, you're still your mentality, you don't think it's that bad, so on and so on. Can you explain that particular process to us so we can understand that a little bit further?
Yes, as they took me out of the room, and they were taking me down to the surgery, the nurse, the doctor, one of the doctors, and there was somebody else that worked there. And so I was full of jokes. I was throwing jokes, telling jokes, and that's when I was like, when you take out all the blood, give me the love of Martin Luther, give me the knowledge of Plato, And I was joking, and at that point I didn't know how critical it was, not at all, and I didn't treat it like it was. And as a child of God, I prayed, but I don't know if I really believed it, that was critical enough for a prayer. I prayed, but I don't know if I took it seriously. It was going to be a quick surgery, and then I was going to get up out of there, go back to my life in the military, and just be happy.
That's a crazy thing because I had the same thought too. People looking around at me and they're saying, "Hey, you're going to be messed up, bro. You're not going to be able to walk or talk or do anything for a long while." I'm like, man, next week I got to get back to work. Like,
Yes.
what is that mentally like when you first having that stroke, the brain bleed? Mentally, do you feel it is that bad, or do you think it's like, is this something like a cold? By next week, I'll be over it. Like, can you explain that part to us as well too?
Actually, I treated it like it was a cold. I had players. I owned a company, and I represented players in the NFL. So the way that I looked at it was April, you know, April 1st is when they do surgery. By May, I'll be able to get back into, everything, and I'm going to be able to do my military, but yet and still in May, I can start recruiting kids that need agents, and I can still travel, and I can just go ahead and get back in there. And that's the way I looked at it, was I'm just going to get right back in there. And it didn't happen.
Okay, and that's the part that I think people don't understand is that I don't know what is considered to be. I don't know if it's delusional or we just transition to a different type of mindset. Because like for me, it's like I had an outer body experience. I was not part of my body anymore. My body was here, my mind was here, my mentality was over here, so on and so on. My spirituality was somewhere different. But it's like I was trying to bring all those things together, and the last thing I was worried about is my body.
Yes.
Is that the same type of thing that you had too? And
Same exact.
okay. So you had an AVM rupture, right? Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes.
So you're part of the group of the 1% of the world population that has this rare condition. So we don't know that we have these things happen. Like you said, you was an athlete and it just came about you, boom, and all of a sudden you had this happening to you. Your life has changed so fast. So we was doing this pre-interview and I wasn't really sure what the heck you meant by this. So I want you to explain this. He said, keep the main thing the main thing. Now, is that a motto that you actually have for your life? So now that you have changed and you have went through this metaphorical change in your life, that you had this AVM rupture, that everything is different for your life, and now you want to keep the main thing the main thing. What does that mean to you? I don't understand that mantra.
Actually, keeping the main thing has been something I've had ever since I was a freshman in college, sophomore in college. And where it comes from is my grandfather was a male in my life, and I was a scholarship baseball player. I got invited to work out for the White Sox coming out of high school. I went to college to play baseball at Division I university, and I did everything wrong. I At 17 years old, my freshman year, I got drunk and was just out there, lost my Christianity. And I got back to school, and then my sophomore year, I became academically ineligible. You have to have a 2.5 or 2.25 at that time, and I had a 1.6. So they took my scholarship. Well, people say they took my scholarship, but my mother said I gave them back the scholarship because actually that's what I did. And that day, when I found out that I was academically ineligible and that I did not was not invited back to University of Louisville to play baseball, the first place I called was my grandfather. I went over to my grandmother and grandfather's house, and my grandfather, uh, loved my grandfather. He passed away years ago, but he always has so much knowledge, and so I sat down and I said, "Daddy," I said, "I lost my scholarship." And he said, "Why?" I said, "Daddy, I was drinking and, I was partying. And, some nights, some mornings I missed class because I had a hangover." And my grandfather said, "Son, did we send you to college so that you could be the best drunkard on campus?" I said, "No, sir." He said, "Did we send you to college so that you could have more girlfriends than anybody else?" I said, "No, sir." He said, "What about you missing going to college so you can miss all your classes?" I said, "No, sir." He said, "Son, you lost the main thing." He said, "Son, you have to understand in life, you have to keep the main thing the main thing. And your main thing was to get your education, not baseball, not to party, not to for 27,000 student people to be your friends. You were there to get your education, and you didn't keep your main thing the main thing." Ever since then, everything that I have done, when I joined the United States Air Force at 22 years old, I had gained a lot of weight. I was no longer baseball size. I was not 153. I was 247 pounds at 5'5". And that night when we got to Texas, San Antonio, Texas, they were yelling and screaming at you like they usually do. And two TIs, they're called TIs, they're training instructors, walked up to me, and one said, "You're fat and you're black. I'm calling you Cannonball." Internally, I laughed because I took what my grandfather said. See, my main thing was to be a part of the United States Air Force. So no matter what they said, no matter what they called me, what they told me I had to do, I was going to keep the main thing the main thing. 6.5.
So hold on, Brady. I'm hearing you all this, but I'm trying to bring it back to your stroke, and after your stroke, how you made it the main thing. So how did you use that philosophy today? as after your stroke, and why is it so important for you to actually tell people out there that when you're having your stroke or you having a brain bleed, keep the main thing the main thing? What what is that message that you're trying to bring to us so we can actually get better after our rupture or our stroke?
Yes. One of the biggest things that I took it once I had my stroke, and the doctors told my family, my wife, her family, my family, they were there, and they said, Mr. Johnson, you'll never speak clearly again. You have aphasia. You'll never walk without aid. You'll never drive. You'll never go back to work. During surgery, we notice your eyes cross, so you'll never read or you'll never write. But you know what? I kept the main thing, the main thing. First of all, my main thing was to get me back in health, get me health ready and healthy. But number two, keeping the main thing, the main thing. My main thing was to be able to speak clearly. My main thing was to walk. Those three things was no matter what. I had to keep the main thing the main thing. So what anybody told me, for example, people would tell me, you need to walk with that cane, you're going to need it for the rest of your life. So you have to, that wasn't my main thing. My main thing was to walk correctly, walk straight, and be able to do it without a cane. To speak. My mother had her PhD in English. So my mother had taught me a lot of English, and I was a Pepsi Generation singer. You with Michael Jackson groups and blah blah blah. So I can sing. So you tell me I'm never going to speak clearly again. I'm going to keep the main thing the main thing. My main thing was to speak clearly.
So I'm thinking I'm understanding this. So correct me if I'm wrong. So as a survivor, we shouldn't be focusing on the negative parts about it or the things that's going to slow us down. Whatever you're trying to do is your main goal. If you want to learn how to walk again, learn how to talk again, that is your main thing. You should be focusing on that. You shouldn't be complaining that, hey, your doctor is not the right doctor for you, or B, you're not getting all the stuff that you're supposed to get from your home. Keep the main thing the main thing and stop worrying about things that you can't control. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. It's too easy from the outside for you to get a lot of speakers, right? You have to learn to focus and keep the main thing the main thing. Because just like when I was playing college ball, you hear, you got invited to work out for the White Sox, and you shouldn't be here at this university. You should be playing pro ball. And I was listening to that. I've lost that focus because I
So,
let that happen.
So Brady, how do you control that? A lot of people with brain injuries, some of them hear voices. I know for a fact I was delusional, so I wasn't even sure if I was hearing voices from real people or imaginary people. So we're dealing with people that have issues in their head and trying to figure out how to become, I guess, stable on land all over again. So, what are the techniques that you did to stop all those outside things to focus on that main thing? Can you give us some examples?
Yes. Number one was I wrote stickies on mirrors, okay, in bathrooms in my home that said, you can win. You can take one step at a time. Slow down, okay? I did things like because sometimes it might be your inside that's telling you can't. So I had to learn, because there's a gospel song that says sometimes you have to motivate yourself. And so I would have to motivate myself before I got out of bed. And getting out of bed, that's what I did. Before I got out, I said, today is your day. Conquer the day. Don't worry about Friday. Don't worry about Saturday. Worry about today. Keep the main thing. Conquer today.
All right, my producer just gave us the comment sound, so let's get some of the comments in, and then we get back to how you kept your focus. These comments are coming from Instagram, so they're not gonna be able to be present on the screen, but I'll read them from Instagram, and you can respond to them. Okay, sir?
All right.
All right, here we go. We have Eric Oz Life. So you are doing it, and we also have Michael. He says, "Was there anything specific that happened to help you walk without the cane?"
Yes. I took one step. One step. See, because a lot of times we want to be what we were the day before our stroke. But what I tell people is this: the day I sold myself to understand that on my right side, I am a baby again, right? I'm two. I'm two. I'm learning how to walk on that side. So, you know what? Slow your walk down. Enjoy what's going on around you. Keep your chin up, but be slow. There's no reason to be in a hurry. Nobody's chasing you. That's what my mother used to tell me. Ain't nobody chasing you. Just go slow. Go slow. Heel toe.
And Michael, I will reiterate that as well, because with the situation with me is that I wasn't impatient, and when I was in my rehab center, I thought I could walk, and I was getting bathed, and I had a little chair that those shower chairs that you have, and my OT guy, he turned around for a second. I was like, "Yeah, I could do this myself," and I almost busted my butt because I was not able to actually walk. And I think that's the other thing that Brady is saying, that you know yourself, you know how strong you are, you know if you get off of this walker, you will fall and bust your butt, but you also know that you might be holding yourself back because of that walker.
Mm-hmm.
So once you figure out who you are, how strong you are, doing all the work that you're supposed to do, if you using that walker as a quote unquote crutch
Yeah.
because you want to stay in that particular state, then that's what you're going to be. But if you know you're stronger than that, that's when you're going to start making that, like Brady said, taking that first step. And once you take that first, like I had to take the first step as well. And when I did it, my brother got behind me. He thought I was going to bust my butt, but I knew I was able to walk. I didn't do it the second before. I just knew it that time because I knew I was strong enough. So I guess that's the answer that Brady's saying to us is this: you got to be able to know it yourself. Brady can't tell you. I can't tell you. You have to tell you, and you have to do your work. Am I right with that?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Guys, if you do have any more questions, anywhere you are, if you're on TikTok, you're on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, we're looking at all the comments. So please make sure you say the comments for Brady or question you have for Brady, and we'll put them on the show. So Brady, what other things that you use besides the sticky notes for yourself to get focus when you was going through, understand that you need to keep the main thing the main thing?
Prayer. Prayer. I prayed. Still pray. I pray in the morning before I get out of bed. I pray throughout the day. I pray at night. I pray for no reason, but there's always a reason. But what it does is it brings me back to focus, to keeping my main thing the main thing, right? Because it's so easy for you to listen to people say things like, "Oh, you walk funny." Well, you know what? I'm walking. Praise God. Hallelujah. You know, I mean, so for me, that doesn't bother me at all. And just through prayer has kept me based, has kept me based.
I love that. Prayer. You have your conversation with God, and He's telling you your timing is His timing, and not your timing, not anybody else's timing. So whatever anybody's saying, that doesn't make a difference. Brady, we have another comment. This one is from Instagram again. So let me go and read it to you, sir. This one is from Eric once again. He says he has a couple of comments on here. He says, "I am inspired by you and your conversations. Thank you for sharing your story, and thank you for these interviews. I'm not sure if he's talking about me or he's talking about you or talking about both of us. But thank you, Eric, for watching. And
Thank you.
there you go. Brady says thank you as well. Here's another question or comment that he has. He said, I hated the also saying, take your time, make me feel rushed. I'm so slow that phrase just intimidates me. What
Mm.
what does that mean to you? Like hearing someone saying that, that a lot of people don't understand how our plight is. And when they speak, they think they speak in energy and love into us, but they're actually breaking us down. What do you tell people that actually are going through that, Brady?
People that are going through people speaking that's people that speak fire, that don't know they're speaking fire. What I do is I say, forgive them, God, for they do not know. And I continue my plight. Mine is to succeed. At that time, it was to walk and to be able to, operate day to day. So, though people would say, oh, maybe you should sit down. Okay, you might sit down. I'm fine, you know, but I'm not going to turn into an argument. I'm not going to get upset. But in the mind, I say, forgive them, God, for they do not know.
Ooh, there you go. That's the deep one. We got some more. I got some on TikTok too, but I'm still in Instagram, so let's keep on going. This is Eric once again. He says, I'm almost 5 years post stroke, still scared to walk without the cane. Thank you. Okay. Well, like we've been saying, Eric, that this is and it's weird because nobody can actually tell you when you're ready.
Nope.
Because I know when they sent me out from the hospital, they just sent me home with my walker. They didn't say, "Hey, you're going to be on this for another 4 or 5 months or 5 years." They just say, "Here, this is your walker, and here's your shower seat. Go live your life." So I had to
Right.
figure it out on my own. So I think that's something that you have to do too. Um, Eric, we got some more. Here he said, "Hey, AVM, I would love to be on the show with you. I am Erica, a female. Oh, so I'm sorry. I saw Eric. I didn't know it was Erica, but please give him 1,000 pardons, Erica. You could be on the show if anybody else wants to be on the show. Just direct message me wherever you're seeing this interview right now. Just direct message me on that platform, and I will get to you. And we have one more from Erica. Says, I know I am uh, commenting too much. Just live listening to your stories and interviews. God bless. No, you're not commenting too much. We love the comment. I know Brady loves to hear people saying what they have to say and giving back their information. Brady is very coy right now, but Brady is a celebrity for sorts. He's actually a bodybuilder, a professional bodybuilder. So he loves to be in front of people. So he loves having his story out there. So do not feel ashamed to saying what you want to say. Brady enjoys it. Trust me. See the smile on his face? He enjoys it, right, Brady?
That's right. That's
I know
right.
you do, brother. I know you do. All right, we got something from TikTok world. So before I go back to your question, let's go to TikTok world. I have Peter here in the TikTok world. Peter is asking the questions. What about explasticity? How can you overcome that? Do you have a question? You have an answer for that, sir?
Yes. What I
Okay.
did all day was this. And relax. Most of the time, when you think too much, your body tenses up. And that's why we fall. And that's why we're tense. So just do it while you're watching TV, a game, a football game, or a TV show. And I do that with my hand. I do it with my leg. And I realize that when I'm not stressed, my leg and my arm can do things, and hand can do things I never thought it could be done. So I feel very blessed to have found that out.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point, and I think what you're telling people is, and I think I don't know if they are really receiving it. It's like probably 15-20% your body. It's 85% mental. It's how you actually perceive and how you actually go about it. For me, Brady, and I don't want to take your shine, but for me, when I was going through my initial first year of recovery, it was a blessing and a curse because I separated from my then wife, going through a divorce. I was homeless without health insurance. It was really bad for me for the first 2 years, but I was very fortunate because my niece had her daughter, my grandniece, and I was living with them. And the very cool thing that happened for me, and I wish every person that's learned how to walk again will go through this experience. I got to see a person that was crawling learn how to walk. That was amazing for me because not one time did my granny say, "Oh man, I'm a failure. I can't walk." She would fall, laugh, giggle, and get back up and try it again. But that's what I realized. Like I was having a pity party for myself. I'm like, dang, I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. I used to be able to do this. I suck. And I think you said something towards this a little bit. You say, people try to compare themselves to who they were a day before the stroke, but they don't realize how much work they have to do to get to that place they were the day before the stroke. So our mind is actually telling us all these things that's slowing us down. We have to be able to calm our nervous system, relax, like Brady say, pray, get comfortable, and then move forward. Do you want to comment on that, Brady? I know I don't want to take your time, brother.
It is so. When I had my second stroke, I was working at Social Security. I went back to work, worked over hard, had a second stroke. My youngest son was 3 months old. And you know what? Rehab was watching him as time went on and watching him fall and laugh and get up and go walking again, you know? And it's humbling because just like you said, because so many times if we fall, it's embarrassing, or oh, what are they gonna think? But to see the baby fall, look at me laugh, and then get up and take off running was the most humbling thing in the world. And so my thing after that was I used to call myself the stunt man because I said, you know what? I'm going to be like my son, Ben, and I'm just going to learn how to fall, roll, and get back up. And we're going to do this. And that's what I took.
Listen to my sound. Brady, you're a very popular person tonight. So, hey, man, I don't know if I should feel a little bit jealous because you're getting all the comments. Everybody wants to talk and speak to Brady. So, hey, I'm going to make sure they are heard. So we have another one from Erica. She says, I am in New York. I will inbox both of you. And she throws out kisses. Hey, Brady's a married man, Erica. I don't know you can throw them kisses out there like that. I'm not married, so I can receive it. We have Michael again. He says, what's your best tip for building, I believe he's saying stronger calves? Ooh, I know this is up in your ballpark because you are a professional bodybuilder, sir. So I know you could actually break that down for us. And so can you talk about that, working out basically after a stroke? And Erica, I do have Erica has another thing there, but I will get to that after you deal with Michael's question. So I'm very curious because we really don't talk about that part of you, that new part of your life as being a professional bodybuilder. As a stroke survivor, how did you actually make that transition and not destroy your body in the process so other people can understand that?
It was a lot of faith and a little stupid. What happened was I went to a gym one day because I can't run as far as I used to. And so that I figured, well, maybe I'll try to lift weights, right? And when I went to the gym, I went and I walked, and because of my walk, every time I lift a weight or go to pick up a weight, somebody would run over to me, which of course would throw me off because, as you know, our right side or your left side, like me and my whole right side from head to toe, I cannot feel it. I can't feel it. So it would make the muscle release. And the last thing that I wanted to do was to drop a weight on my foot, because not only could I not know it, but I could get infected because I'm still walking on a broken foot. So I said, I'm not doing this anymore. So I turned my third garage into a complete gym. I have everything free, machine. I have a stationary bike. I have a treadmill. And then my wife said, well, now you spend all this money, you better use it. And so I didn't know what to do, really, because I was a baseball player. I was a base stealer. So I never lifted weights. And so what I did was I looked up natural bodybuilding. Natural bodybuilding is on the other side of what we call the dark side. Arnold Schwarzenegger and the bigger, they use drugs. At that time, I was still taking 42 medicines. So I sure didn't need steroids in my system, because my doctor said, you'll probably die from that. And so I found this thing called natural bodybuilding, which is strictly on what you eat and how you live. And I called a promoter in the state, and I said, hey, how you doing? I said, I don't know anything about bodybuilding, but I want to be a bodybuilder. And he said, hold on, I have a number you can call. So he called, gave it to me, to a guy named Peter. And I called Peter and I said, Peter, I haven't lifted any weights. And he was like, that's okay, we can get into it, And I said, I want to be a bodybuilder, a competitive bodybuilder. And he was like, that is awesome. And then I said, and I can't feel the right side of my body. Had a massive stroke. Peter got quiet. And after about 3 seconds, he said, let's go. And that was the best 3 seconds and an end in my life, because I knew it was on.
Brother, I'm so happy you actually brought that up, because I don't think people as stroke survivors understand the power they have within themselves. Only thing that's really holding you back is you. You just have to ask a question. Because like Brady said, he didn't know anything about bodybuilding. He wanted to get into it. And he might have thought to himself, hey, man, these people are going to look at me funny. But he found out people took him serious because he was serious. So that's the same thing that you have to do. So whatever you're trying to do, if you're trying to get your calf stronger, do the research. That's what Brady said. He did research. He found out what he needed to do, and he did it. Like that's the same thing that we're trying to emphasize. That's why this show is called Death Taught Us How to Live. It's because we have stopped waiting for other people to tell us what we can do.
Yeah.
We have decided that, hey, no more.
That's right.
God is with us. God is going to take care of us. And if God is with us, who could be against us?
That's right.
As simple as that, right? It's not that complicated.
That's
but,
right.
we put things on ourselves. That's what we're talking about, the little kids. That's why he was talking about Ben and all these things. Like, hey, we are moving forward because we have dealt with the worst type of situation in life. And nobody was there to help us.
That's it.
Why are we looking for other people to help us now?
We
are strong. We are warriors.
That's it.
We can do it.
And my grandfather, when I called Daddy, who used to always have these little small, rocks of knowledge. One time, I was talking to him because I think I was in my first apartment, and I was think I was going to be late on paying or something. And he says, ask him. I said, ask him what? Ask him if you can pay, 5 days later. What's the worst thing they can say? What's the worst thing they can say? Are they going to threaten the life of your people you love? I said, no. Are they going to take your car? I said, no. Are they going to sit you out? I said, no. He said, then what's the worst thing that they can do? And they can say no. That's the worst they can say. And I took that for the rest of my life. That what's the worst somebody can do if I ask them?
It's that simple.
Say is no.
Brady, it's that simple, and that's what we are trying to emphasize to people. This is why I've been doing this show for 6 years, and I get people just like Brady that's trying to motivate you on the other end watching this that's stuck in your rut. The worst thing that can happen to you is you fall.
That's right.
Maybe somebody says to you, "No, we can't do it. You're worth nothing." But really think about it. Before you had your stroke, people used to say that to you in the first place, and you
That's
still had to
right.
keep on going. What
That's
difference
right.
is that? You want people to feel sorry for you? Nobody's gonna feel sorry for you.
Nope.
They might feel sorry for you the first week, first month. They might cook for you, come by and clean your house. But after a while, they have to go back to their lives.
Mm-hmm.
They're not gonna take care of you forever. Maybe your loved ones will, but people are not gonna come by your house each and every week and take care of you. You got to get out of that funk and live your life.
That's right.
We got some more comments on Instagram. I think Erica is apologizing, but she's not apologizing. I don't know what she's doing, but she says, "I mean no disrespect. It's pure love for you both, warriors in stroke recovery, lifting others, sharing and spreading awareness." Hey, so Brady, you could tell your wife she didn't mean no disrespect. Hey, Erica, I don't have a wife, so there's no disrespect there. If you want to throw kisses, you can throw kisses, my sister. But that's the thing about us, And I'm making jokes. I'm being funny, but we're all family. Like we have
Right.
something that we cannot explain to nobody else. We had
That's
a
right.
stroke. We had a brain rupture. We know exactly how this is. You might have a different disabilities than us, but we know the problems we went through. We all had that time that we was in the hospital and someone had to come and wipe our butts and
That's right.
we
Hey,
we was all there.
we was all there.
It was all there. We understand that. So we're not making fun. We're making light of how life is and how we can be better. So each and every day you get up, like Brady says, before he starts anything, before he goes on the internet, I don't know if he gets on his knees, but he starts to pray. He asks God what is God going to be for him that day. And that's what you're going to do. Start your day on a positive note. Don't start your day in a negative note and saying that you're worthless, saying that everything is going to be terrible. Then your day will be terrible.
That's right. That's right. You've got to claim victory. Claim victory all day long this day. Today is victory.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
But hey, so I took you off of the trail, Brady, and on Instagram, I'm getting crazy kisses from Erica. So I am getting love now, brother.
All right. Lucky you.
All right. All fun and games are over. But hey, we're at the end of our show, and towards the end of the show, we do what's called hot seat questions. So I will ask Brady 4 hot seat questions that I would like for him to give me quick answers, about 30 seconds or less. And then after each question, I want Brady to say, "AVM superhero, I'm ready for my next question." And then at the end of the fourth question, I'm going to come off the show completely and let Brady talk to you guys and close out the show. So, Brady, my friend, my brother, my AVM brother, one of the 1% of the world population that has a rare condition.
That's
Are you
right.
ready for your hot seat question, sir?
I am. I
All
am.
right. So, hot seat question number 1, as follows. What is the biggest misconception about survival?
That it is going to be a life of negativity. Period. And it's not true. That is not true. You can have life and live abundantly.
See, he didn't say the AVM superhero. I'm ready for my next
I'm
question.
sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
See, I had him nervous.
Talk
I had him
about
nervous.
big things.
I had him nervous. Here's your number 2 question, sir. In one word, what does living fully means to you?
Praise. Praise. And that's the AVM. Next question.
Simple as that, right? Simple as that. I get it, sir. I said one word. Question number 3. What was the hardest habit to let go of during your recovery?
Wanting to run, wanting to move fast for everything. And because that was most terrible. I had to relearn, and that's the answer to that question on AVM.
All right, Robert, like I said, this is your final question, and I'm going to come off of the show. Next week, we're going to have a lovely lady from across the pond. Her name is Susan. She is a stroke survivor. She'll be on our show, so tune in next week. And I really appreciate each and every one of you guys. I appreciate you guys coming out and asking questions. Feel free to ask questions every week. This show is not for me. This is not for the interviewee. It's for you guys. So you guys ask us questions. We are here to help inspire you to become better, become stronger, and become the best person you possibly can. So, Brady, are you ready for your final? Yes, sir. Are you ready for your final and last question?
Yes.
All right, Brady, here you go. What is your daily non-negotiable for mental peace?
Pray. Pray. I pray every morning. That's the first thing I do is I speak to God. And I want to thank for having me on to AVM because this is an awesome, awesome site and show.